Welcome to 10-Minute Sales Training, practical sales training for everyday reps. This is short, focused coaching you can use immediately. Whether you're on the way to a meeting, in between calls, or building a team, let's get into it. In this episode, we are talking about putting objections into one of three buckets. Now, most sales reps overcomplicate objections. They treat every pushback like it's unique, like it's brand new, like it needs some sort of clever response. But in reality, almost every objection falls into one of three buckets: need, money, and thinkers. Now, if you understand these three categories, you can stop reacting emotionally and start diagnosing them professionally. So let's break them down. Bucket number one is need. Now, it can sound like a few things like, I don't really need this, I'm fine for now, we're already covered, or I don't see the urgency. If someone says they don't need it, here's the really hard truth. This is not a closing problem, it's a presentation problem. Because your entire presentation should be built around uncovering and clarifying the need. So if at the end of a 30-minute conversation, someone says, I don't need it, that means that one of three things happened. Either you didn't uncover a real pain point for them, you talked about features instead of the consequences, or you failed to tie the solution back to their situation. So need objections are rarely solved at the end. They're prevented at the beginning, because during your presentation, you should constantly be anchoring back to what they told you. So saying things like, you mentioned earlier that you were concerned about blank, or you said stability was important to you, or you told me that cash flow during slow months worries you. So, if you don't anchor these down, then they disconnect. If you consistently are hearing, I don't need it objections, you don't need to memorize a better close. You need to tighten your discovery questions, and you need to strengthen your problem framing. You need to make the risk more visible to the client because need drives that movement. All right, quick break, and we'll jump back into the rest of these. Now, bucket number two is money. And this often sounds like, it's too expensive, we don't have room in the budget, that's more than I expected. Now, here's something important. Money is sometimes the real issue, but often it's a surface objection. So when someone says it's too expensive, they're usually saying one of two things: I don't see enough value, or it's not a priority right now. Price is relative to importance. If something feels essential, people find the money for it. If it feels optional, they hesitate. That doesn't mean that you pressure, it means that you clarify the value. So ask questions like, compared to what you told me earlier about protecting X, does this solve that problem? Or, if we adjusted this slightly to fit your range, would this be something you'd want in place? So notice what's happening there. You're diagnosing, you're not defending. And if money truly is the issue, downsizing responsibly can work. But don't immediately slash that offer in half, because drastic downclosing can also devalue your product. So adjust with intention. Money objections are about alignment between the value and the cost. If the value is clear, the cost becomes contextual. Okay, and bucket three, the thinkers. This is the most common objection, and it's also the most misunderstood. So it sounds like this: let me think about it. Let me sleep on it. I gotta talk to XYZ. Let me get back to you. So that objection can mean almost anything. It could mean they don't see the need. They're unsure about the price. They want to shop around and compare. They want to talk to a spouse. Or they're uncomfortable deciding. So instead of reacting defensively, treat it like information. First, pay attention to the timing. Did they say it immediately? Or did they pause first? If they pause and genuinely think, they might just be processing. And if they say it instantly, it might be a reflex response. Either way, your job is not to argue. It's to clarify. So you can respond calmly. Hey, that's fair. When you said you'd like to think about it, is there something specific you'd like to go over again? And that question alone can open the door. It turns a wall into a conversation. Sometimes the real issue does come out. Sometimes it doesn't. But you regain the direction. Now, here's the bigger lesson here. Objections are not rejection. They're part of the decision-making process. If someone has no questions and no resistance, then they're probably not engaged. Questions means there's interest. Hesitation means they're considering. Your job is to guide and not pressure. And most importantly, don't take objections as personal. They're not about you, they're about uncertainty. Your role is to reduce uncertainty. You need clear need, clear value, and clear next steps. When you understand the 3 buckets, objections feel less chaotic. You stop scrambling for the clever lines, and you can start diagnosing patterns. Is it a need problem? Improve your discovery. Is it a money problem? Strengthen the value alignment. Is it a thinker problem? Well, then clarify and guide. It's simple, but it's not easy. So here's your assignment. After your next 5 presentations, write down the objection you heard and categorize it. Is it need? Is it money? Is it a thinker? And then ask yourself, was this truly a closing problem, or was it earlier in my structure? Objections don't destroy deals. Poor diagnosis does. All right, that's it. If this episode was helpful, send it to someone on your team. And if you're leading a sales team, feel free to use it in your next training session. If you'd like to support the show, you can find that link in the show notes. Sales is simple, but it's not easy. The more intentional you are, the better you get. I'll see you in the next one.